Cool. Let's get it rolling then. Welcome to the 9th episode of the YN podcast. And for anyone that's listening for the first time, I bring in a series of guests from business owners to professional athletes to professional gamers and ask them a series of questions to get into the deep stuff that makes them the individual that they are today. And today I've got on Paula Wingate. Do you want to introduce yourself, Paula?
Hi everyone. I'm Paula Wingate. I am a business coach that helps you crush yourself from 0 to 5 figures per month, and then after you've done that, we go to 6 figures per month and 7 figures per month. So I just want to say a big fat hello. Hi.
Love that. Absolutely love it. And we've been working together for how long now, Paula?
How long have you survived me? 6 months? 7 months?
Like 6 or 7 months, but I've been in the pipeline in it for since I was 19 or something. 18,
yeah,
19.
well, since you were 3, I think.
Since I was 3. And I think you've been coaching my mum for over 3 years now.
Yeah, your mum's incredible, absolutely exceptional. You know, and I've said this to you all the time. Your mum, when she first came, she used to look at me and scowl at me, and I was like, what have I done wrong? Didn't realise that was a thinking face, if that makes sense. I was like, nah, not coaching it. And then for some reason, I coached her, and she's been the best, one of our best clients ever. She's been phenomenal.
Mum's absolutely crushed it, man. She's someone I speak about all the time in terms of from a role model aspect and what she's done for me and growing up and stuff like that. And we were actually, funny enough, when we were out on Saturday, all the YN gang out having food and stuff like that. Andrew just turns around to me and just goes, "John, your mum's fucking class, isn't she, man?" And I was like, "Yeah, Andrew, she is. She absolutely is." So I came back and told her, and she was also ecstatic.
She is a dream, I tell you, a real role model and dream. And you know what? She's so inspirational. It's just like you can't explain it until you get to speak to her, you get to know her, and everything you know about her and what she's done to overcome it. It's just like, I call it mega anominal, not phenomenal. Mega anominal.
Exactly. I thought you were going to say that's because you can't say phenomenal. But...
No, I can say phenomenal, but even difficult, mega anominal.
So based off, so like I said, we're asked a series of questions today. I'm not going to get into a mindset deep dive. It was actually an idea that you gave me yourself in terms of cornering off an area of the podcast market where I do have access to some of these phenomenal high performers that the one thing that separates them from everyone is their mindset. And for someone like yourself, some of the questions I've actually put together is kind of based off some of the feedback you gave me in general. So it's going to be really good to see what your answers will be. Kind of to the questions you prompted yourself.
Oh God, this is what bites me in the ass, isn't
it? It might be, but we'll get into that later. So one of the first questions is if you could have 2 mentors, one from the past and one from the present, who would you have?
So many to think about. One from the past and one from the present. For the present at the minute is definitely J. Abraham.
Right.
So he's a business coach. He's like the biggest. He's like £64 billion he's worth, but that's not about the money. It's about he's gone from 0 to that level, and he's actually been classed as a marketing guru.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, when you strip back, he's not marketing. He's just got to be labelled that. He's a phenomenal business coach. So he's the guy that's taught me, you know, when I talk about my money making formula, where you do your clients times your average sale times your average number of transactions per client equals then your growth. And if you times it by 10% and 20%, you can easily see your growth. He's the guy that taught me that. So definitely want to get into his network. So that's one of my biggest goals. But his network is, you've got to be at such a, you know, like 50 million turnover and all that stuff. So that's one of my goals. So I'm always stalking him on YouTube and harassing him on blogs, you know, like watching him and sending him some emails and that. So I love his psyche. It's a brilliant man, and it's no bullshit mindset as well. In the past, what can I talk about? There's so many in the past. I do say Abraham Lincoln, but I won't go into why. But he was a phenomenal president, but a phenomenal real president, if that makes sense. So he knew what was going on, and he tried to stop what was going on that's going on today, and he got killed for it. So JFK, the same, phenomenal president, tried to stop that, didn't stop it. But David Beckham is a good one for me. But you what, sorry?
I was going to say he's not from the past, though.
He's not, is he?
Did Beckham still alive? I was like, it's good on.
Yeah, he was the guy that taught me about branding. When I watched him and Victoria get together, I mean, he's obviously a good-looking guy, but how he branded himself, I loving about the footballing, you know, how he dotes on his passion and where he's grown because of his going through, like when he got sent off in France and then went through all the effigies, the burning effigies of him, and went through it and then became golden balls.
Yeah.
Massive learnings from him. But from the past, I'll probably find somebody later on, but I don't know. You know what, as well, from the past, my mum's taught me a hell of a lot about the negative mindset and the current mindset of what I've got. She died at 42, learned a lot in a way she dealt with her life, if that makes sense. So, don't know if that has answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. What age were you when your mum passed?
I was 21.
21?
Yeah. But my mum had a problem with alcohol and the negative mindset of it. And I grew up quite fast. I'm so blessed having that experience because at age of 8, I was the mum of the family, tidying up, ironing, looking after my brother, getting shopping in, feeding ourselves, that type of stuff. And if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't be where I am today, if that 100%. Makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, like, it's like, what's the movie actually? Is it Warrior with Tom Hardy? Have you watched that before?
No, I've not watched that.
Warrior with Tom Hardy. It's basically about two brothers that become UFC fighters. But they both grow up with their dad being an alcoholic, for example, or just being. I'm not saying your mum was alcoholic. I was just relating obviously to the movie.
She probably was.
Yeah, and like the actual movie, both brothers grow up obviously around like their dad. One of which goes on to become an alcoholic because they witnessed their dad doing it all the time. The other one grew up to never touch alcohol ever again because they watched their dad obviously grow up with it. So both ends of the spectrum in terms of the positive and negative to take away from it. And obviously like your end of it, like major positives to take away in terms of essentially work in a full household, do everything you need to do at the age of 8. You grew up incredibly quickly, which is phenomenal. And a lot of people would allow that to like be a reason to why they're not where they are today in it and allow it to be external.
Well, it's so funny when you just said that. Me and my brother is a genius, right? But he's a phenomenal genius in terms of, I mean, he's a domainer, so he buys all these domain names and sells them on. So he could, like, KP Nuts had a domain name that went invalid for like 10 seconds. He snooped in, got it for like £100 or something, rang them and sold it back for like 5.5K. And he does that all the time with these top companies, and it's like, right, Graham. So he's like made the millions on doing that. Me, I'm the angel side of it, so he's the devil side of it. So Martin Lewis hates him, like in from the TV, absolutely hates him because Graham can see through his bullshit and opens up the cans of worms. Where I'm like, oh, I wouldn't even dare do that. You know, there's no chance. That's bad publicity. I'm not doing that. So it's working for him, though, I tell you. So.
No, I completely understand. And I think, like, in terms of like the ways in which you can make money, like the abundance mindset, the land of opportunity, it's actually nuts. Pardon the pun, KP nuts, but it is crazy in general the ways in which people make money, and especially like growing up, having people like you met Ollie, for example, Ollie Briggs. Ollie had a phenomenal, hustling mindset when he was growing up and doing things like max betting, for example. And I remember when he showed me it, and he was like, "This is what you could do. This is how much money you could make from it." I showed my mum it, and at the time, my mum was still an employee. She was still working at Certas Energy, and I remember I showed her it, and I showed her how much I could make, and she was like, "Nah, it's got to be illegal." And I was like, "Well, it's not. Like, Ollie's been doing it for like quite some time now." And she was like, "Nah, that's dodgy, John. Don't do that." And I'm like, "Mom, I'm going to do it. Like, I know it's all right. Like, I know you can't understand. Like, because like in her head, it was like, for example, if I had say like a grand and a half of capital sitting in the betting account, and I was funneling the money through it, you could, like, back at the beginning, man, you could make easily like £500 a day, and it would only take a couple hours because all you need to do is basically use all your capital in a way that it was all working through each account, which eventually all you needed to do was all the bets to come in. And once the bets came in, whether they win or lost, it didn't matter because no matter what, you still won. Which to people listening to this might be thinking, what the fuck are you talking about, John? But basically what match betting is, in a nutshell, you're basically using the offers, the sign-up offers that Betfred and all these other William Hill and all these websites give you. Bet365 have a massive one that's bet £100, you get £100 in free bets.
Wow.
So match betting essentially is turning that £100 in free bets into real money. So you basically use an exchange account to bet against yourself at the same odds, which allows you to not lose, but you're basically transferring that £100 in free bets into real money. So if you had say I'd done it for myself, the amount of offers that are out there for all these betting websites, easily like £500 to £750 worth of offers.
Wow. So you make £750 when you get your offers a week, a month?
So like the sign up offers are what the juiciest ones are, but if there's websites, so for example like Ollie made a website that would update each time new offers came into play for existing customers. Just the existing customers will never be anywhere as near as big as the initial offer. So if you wanted to maintain that one ID, you can maybe make £150 a month after that initial like sign up offers as such. So the land of opportunity for it was crazy. When I was showing my mum it, she was just like, there's no way that can be real. You're telling me you can make more than me like in one day? And I'm like, I mean, it looks to me. And then that's what also made me think when I started working. What as a waiter, I've only ever had one real job. For anyone that's listening, I had one real job as a waiter for 3 months, and it was literally just so I could get my car because the finance company wouldn't give me it because I was making money that like self-employed, and I was young and a student and all this kind of stuff. And working as a waiter for 3 months, I'd work a 10-hour shift and get paid like 70 quid, 60 quid, or whatever it was. So I can't remember how much it was. When in reality, I could sit with match betting, load up 4 or 5 offers, and make 200 odd quid, for example. And that would take me like an hour of my time.
And this is what the world's waking up to now. Well, the young ones like yourself, when we're talking about, turn you around and show you your back of your hoodie.
Because I think you can actually see it up here, actually. What did it say up?
Young and lazy.
Yeah.
I think I would love to be young and lazy at your age. I mean, you're phenomenal at 22, thinking the way you're thinking. I didn't click onto this till about 36, 37, and that's when I was in the shitter, if that makes sense, with all my life. And I had to do something different. But this is exactly what we teach now is be young. Be young as young. Like you can be 60 and be young and lazy, but be the most laziest person and be phenomenal at what you do. So if you're going to make 500 quid, do it in an hour.
Yeah.
Rather than going out and working 8 hours for like 100 quid. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that's why I started working with you in the first place, because even though I definitely come under that whole aspect of young and lazy, and that's why we're building a brand around it. And for anyone that's watching, the young and lazy brand will be launching towards the tail end of November. The first hoodies will be dropping around about that time. Be plenty of marketing on it, you won't miss it. But a lot of that kind of around it was I was lazy in the sense as I was sitting at my desktop all day working through numerous different things, but I was working anywhere between like 12 to 16 hours a day. But I was taking like 200 odd steps. But like, for example, my granda, like when I was a kid and I was sitting gaming all the time, he'd be like, "You're going to just turn that shit off, man, and just go outside, climb trees, like all the stuff that you're like, granda, shush, I'm just not going to do that." When I was growing up, I was deemed as probably pretty lazy, to be honest, and thankful to my mum. Like, to begin with, when I still gaming things started kicking off, she was kind of like curfew, turning her internet off when she went to bed. I'd listen to hear her snoring. I'd get up, I'd turn it back on.
Your mum snores?
Your mum snores, yeah.
Oh, you're in the grounding room.
Mum snores, yeah. She sleepwalks. Like,
did
quite
she?
A lot. Yeah, man. There's a funny story. I'm sure she'll tell you it in her own time. Of her being found on top of a wardrobe in her room.
What?
She sleepwalked on top of her wardrobe.
How the hell do you even do that?
Don't know. You're going to ask Mum. That's a conversation for another time for sure.
You know what I would do, John? Get webcams up all around the house, get it recording and blackmail her, to be fair. I mean... I
mean, the Ring doorbells and all that nowadays, man, you can literally record. I mean, I don't remember the last time Mum sleepwalk. But she used to be quite bad, to be fair, and then I started doing it. But it wasn't sleepwalking as such. It was I'd sleep talk, and I'd another young and lazy term. I would sleep text people.
What?
Aye, so
Can you
like
text?
my phone would vibrate, right, but not enough to wake me up. So like it would wake me up a little bit. So I'd open it up and I'd read a text, for example, and I'd be half asleep. And I'd sit there and I'd try and type a reply to it, but it would just be pure gibberish. It would be like, I went downstairs, opened up the fridge, and there was a giraffe there. Then when I took the giraffe out, I ended up in Bali. And then before I knew it, when I was in Bali, I was setting up a webcam and I was recording a podcast. Like just pure shite, something that never made sense at all. And I would and I would send it to people and they would be like, I remember, I think it was one of my close friends at the time, like she was genuinely worried about me. She was like, what the fuck is wrong? Like, are you okay? And I had like 7 or 8 text messages from her. She was like, what are you trying to say? Because like within the message, it sounded like I was like in danger by the way in which I'd texted, but in fact, I was just asleep.
Sleep.
Nah, just waffling, pure shit.
Oh, can you imagine that though? My brother did that as well. Like he's such a deep sleeper that he would text back and not even remember texting.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's mental. I think the only worst thing I've ever had is a night terror where I've screamed in the middle of the night. That's as exciting as I get.
I've had quite weird ones to be fair, man. I've had ones where like I've had like spiders all over me in my bed. And like spiders up on my ceiling, and like I had one as well where there was a massive it was like a massive moth.
Oh yeah.
Flew over my head and hit me in the head and landed on my wall. And I was like looking at this thing and it was like the size of my head, like this thing was huge. And I just ran out my room. And I remember I ran out my room, my mum was just standing there in the hall and she was like, John, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, Mum, there's a massive moth in there. And as I was telling her, I just woke up and I was like, shit, there's nothing in there.
It was not a moth.
There was nothing. None of it was ever real. It was absolutely nuts. I don't know. It was weird, man. All the dreams and stuff that I used to have were quite weird, to be fair. Not hallucinating. I don't know what they call it though, because it's like I'm not stuck in my bed around it. It's not like I'm sleep paralysis or whatever. I'm not like stuck. I can move and stuff, but it's just I don't know, because I don't mind spiders. I usually deal with them all for my mum because mum hates spiders, so it's just weird.
I need you in my house for spiders, but when you dream in the spiritual world, apparently that's a message being sent to you by your angels.
Oh.
So I know you're not a dreamer of that, right? And I'm not going to go on and go about that, but something that I found out about your dreams are actually messages from the spirit world telling you what to do as codes going forward in your life. It's really interesting.
I'll need to get a spider extinguisher. Covered in spiders.
Exactly.
Where were we in the conversation? Because we went into like sleep talking and sleepwalking. Oh, my mum, that was it. Sure, not understanding that was it. The Call of Duty stuff and stuff like that. So, when I'd listen from like Stone, I'd obviously get up, turn on the internet, and I'd sit and play games all through the night. Then I'd go in school, I'd be half asleep, and just that whole, like from the outside looking in, I was just a lazy kid that didn't go to school. When I was ever in school, my attention wasn't there, and I didn't have terrible grades either. But when I started to get to like 4th and 5th year where exams started happening, I'd obviously be failing my exams because I wasn't in enough. My attendance was always below 60%, to be honest. It was usually terrible. If I was in school for 3 days, I'd be off for 2. And especially like when a new COD game came out, man, mum, my throat's killing me. Can't I go in? Can't I go in today? She's like, right, cool, son, look after yourself. I'm going to go to work. She'd leave at 7:30. I'll get back till 6. I'd just sit and just bash COD all day. Just not get off it. And then that led me to where I am now, where I literally play video games for a living, and how things have evolved in a really juicy. Obviously, you hear me speaking quite a lot about Naval Ravikant.
Yep.
And he has a theory on one of the Joe Rogan podcasts about how people are always scared that there's not going to be enough jobs in the world.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, like new jobs are made every single day. And if we reflect even 5 years ago, that a podcast host like Joe Rogan would be a thing.
Yeah.
People would have laughed you out the room, man. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? What Joe Rogan himself, like Naval said it, he could wipe Joe Rogan's wealth away completely just now. And in 2 weeks, he'd be back up and earning more than any of the individuals that are, working a normal job, for example.
Yeah.
I think it's such a juicy thing to think about.
See, this is the best thing, though. Like your mum's programming, and even my programming. So anybody's mindset program, where you've been brought up through a system, and you'd have been classed as wasting your skills and knowledge and your mindset for being at school, etc. then you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, like getting all the grades to then pump up your debt to get to university and all that. And I'm just thinking, right, when my daughter sees a strength or a passion, one thing I'm going to do, and it's a must, is to maximize that strength. So if it's gaming, if she wants to be a master at gaming, then spend the time gaming. Does that make sense? And learning it, but become an athlete at gaming. So what I mean is don't listen to these gurus that say 16, 20 hours a day doing what you're going to do. If not, you're going to be useless. You're not going to get your millions and all this. Rather than going, right, let's be sharp. How can you get that return back in 3 hours a day, 5 hours a day, not 8, 10 hours a day? Learn how to be that sharp and master it so you can do it quicker than doing it longer. Does that make sense?
That's the thing as well with gaming. Like, I've plenty of people coming at my stream and say, I've played Call of Duty just as long as you. How am I not as good as you? And it's like, well, from the age of 13, I was playing a competitive atmosphere where I was constantly improving. I was constantly being criticised. I was constantly being working as a team as well. I was working on not only my ability but my thought process behind a team, how a team should be running, how I can get the best out of my team, how I can get the best out of people around me as well. And it all played a massive part. And that's why, the same way if you want to just go to a pitch and just kick a ball about, there'd be no constructive criticism, there'd be no learnings from it. But if you're in a game, obviously, say once a week, for example, like it is at the moment, you'd get a shit ton of feedback on areas of your game that you need to work on. And in gaming, it's the same concept, especially in CODs, like Call of Duty. If it's individuals could sit and play 10 hours a day, for example, like you're saying, but if they're just sitting in a low intensity zone and they're not improving, they won't improve. And to begin with, most of the time, all they need to do is sit and slog out the hours, and eventually they will improve until they've got the mechanics locked down. Just like, the more you kick a ball, the better you become more comfortable with the ball, but there'll come a time where being comfortable with the ball isn't enough. And it's the same stuff. Like, in order to grow, you need to be thinking a different way, or approaching things a different way, thinking about your team, thinking about all the factors that actually play into you being the best player on this planet. And it doesn't come from just sitting sogging out 15 hours a day for the sake of it. Especially when you get to the top level, you need to be working together. I even played a tournament last night, man. There was a young guy in one of our teammates' chats. He was like, "Why is John pure dwelling on like that last match?" And I was like, "I'm not dwelling on the last match at all. I'm highlighting the areas in which we need to work on." And for example, that's just a casual gamer that's sitting there thinking, "Why is John pure giving Jaff a hard time about how we should be improving and all that? Like, the game's done now, just forget about it." When in reality, it's like, we need to make sure that doesn't happen again. So here's why it can't happen again, and here's what we can do to fix it. And I might spend 10 minutes talking about that, but if it means it never happens again, then they've improved. And it's the same concept, like you said. You want to knuckle down on, for example, Emily's dream, whatever it may be. Making sure it's in a zone that, like, no doubt in my mind, Emily will grow up to be someone phenomenal with having something like yourself and Joe, as mums. Like, it would just be phenomenal as a whole, and it's going to be great to see Emily grow.
She's only nearly 2, still on an action plan. We're getting a 90-day action plan. So it was like getting up and getting her moving and getting her walking. She could walk in the 9 months. And it's all these little stuff, like getting that mindset right, which I was never taught at my age. And mindset is like it's like oxygen. You could have the biggest and best talent, like you could be the best gamer. But if your mindset's not right, you're not going to achieve it.
No, definitely not. And I think that's a situation where, like, my mum not knowing anything about money mindset, being her own boss, all that kind of stuff. Like, my mum's attitude towards, because that's why Andrew said that thing about mum. We were sitting speaking about how wanting to do what you just really want to do, like, and it's not, and your parents not having a say in it, but feeling like they can push you towards the areas that they want you to go into. And like, my mum with even say something that was maybe more like boyish, for example, for like Melissa. Melissa used to be obsessed with wrestling. So rather than like, "Oh no, it shouldn't be for you. You're a kid. You're a girl. You should be thinking about that sort of stuff, or you should be doing this, or you should be doing a certain way." Mum went and booked her, 2 tickets to WWE, like, for her birthday.
Oh yeah.
Just took her through, and she fucking loved it. And eventually, Melissa grew out of it, and she doesn't watch it and stuff anymore. But just like that attitude alone, like I used to hear it quite a lot from my dad, to be honest. My dad was very, manly. Like, there was no, like, not that I ever would have anything like Barbie dolls, for example. I didn't have any Barbie dolls, but say if I had a Barbie doll, he'd be like, "What are you doing with that? What are you doing with that? Get that away!" Or all that sort of shit. And it's, my mum just had it locked down exactly. Whatever myself and Melissa were passionate about, it was like, right, cool. What can I do to support you? What can I do to help you? And everyone deserves to have that, man. And I feel on it. I feel for anyone that doesn't, because it's such a shame, man. There could be so much wasted talent in the areas that you're so passionate about.
Oh, there's so big a talent. There's so much waste in this universe. Like, we're taught to go and get a job, right? Yeah. But what we're not taught to do is define our purpose. What are we being born for? I mean, we've gone through like loads of IVF throughout my life. To get a baby, until you've gone through IVF, you won't actually see the difficulty of it. It's like you're whoever's born, you're a miracle. So
what is IVF? Sorry.
IVF is when you get you make a baby, so you put the sperm in the egg, implant it. Okay. Right. So getting someone to be born and going. I mean, we've got my ex-partner went through about 15 rounds just to get one baby of IVF, and the effect it has on your body is unbelievable. So to be born, you've got to be a miracle, right? So if you're going to be a miracle in life. So go and find out what you're being born to do. There's a reason why you're being born. Find the job, and what I mean by the job, the purpose of what you're being born to do, and maximize it and be a service to the planet. Go and do. If I had found that out right at the beginning of my life would be even more mega nominal, if that makes sense. Yep. And that's something that we're not taught. It's like pushed away in a little corner of, no, you're not allowed to talk about that. You've got to do your maths in your business and all that stuff. No, be at peace. And I remember when I was 6 or 7 or 8, something like that, and I used to play football, and I used to play with the boys, and I was like one of the best players, even because I was a girl. I wasn't allowed to play in the football teams, or I was bad. I was used to be on the lines watching, and my mum was that disgusted that I was playing football that she put me in wellies in a skirt. Right. And she'd be like, "You're not becoming a boy, Paula." Like, that was her worst thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "I love football, though, Mum. Like, my dad takes me to watch football. Mm-hmm. I like football." And then that day I realised, right, let's tame myself. I have to fit in, so I don't do that. And it was only recently when I said to myself, I aren't taming myself anymore. Like, if people don't like me, you can bugger off. I'm me. Yeah, I am who I am. I do what I do. And I am this person, and I love life, and I give, and I will be ultimately respectful for anybody. But if you're a pain in the ass, don't come near me. Like, don't come near me. I don't want to know, because life is for living, not for regretting. Yeah. And that's what I've decided going forward with that. So I hope to God people listen to this and have the balls to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And on topic of that, what would be like the biggest transformation periods like that you lived through to like make you the person you are today?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say about 10 years ago, when it came to a point where I was growing out of being an employee. I was getting itchy feet. I was hating it. I was in a really shitty marriage. I just got myself into, when you say make a bed and sleep on it, I think there's a quote in it.
Yeah, make a bed and lay in it.
That was it. Yeah. That's it. I made my bed and laid in it, and it was killing me. And I knew there was something I was supposed to be doing. Like, there was an earning in myself to go, Paula, go out and do what you're doing. And I made some money on the shares. I spent £1, and in a year I made it turn into 80k. And then I had loads of money to spend, which I've never had, because I've come from a council estate. So what do you do when you've got a poor money mindset? You frivolate about. I went to Florida for 8 years. I had my own TT. I bought it from scratch. I had my own 3-bedroom detached house. Loved it. I had the dream life, but I just got hold of someone that wasn't right for me, if that makes sense. Yep. And then that's when I started drinking a little bit, and I never used to drink. And I thought, my drinking spiraled a little bit. And I thought, that's not good, but I need some fun in my life. And short-term fun was great rather than long-term fun. And then I lost my 125k. Right. And that was meant I was 50 grand in debt instantly. Felt so bad. My marriage broke up, which was a good thing, to be fair. That was the best thing ever happened. But it just meant I don't get access to my daughter at that time. And I just gave my house and my car away to my partner, who just went, yes, let me have it. I'll take it all, which is fine, not a problem. And then I was homeless. I was like, well, I'm in a job that I hate. I get £2,000 for 70 hours a week work. 1,990 quid of that is going out on debt because I was in debt. Yep. Something's got to change. And I was bedridden with shingles for 3 months. Right. And I thought, right, not having it. So I quit. So all this money that I needed to earn to pay my debt, I was like, quit. And for some reason, I don't know how I got it, because I was so skint, so bloody skint, that Tesco's gave me 10k. And I thought, right, that's 5 months worth of salary to make it happen. And in the first 7 days of setting up my business, I got a 30k contract working just for 10 days. And I thought, whoa. But it wasn't easy from there. I had to really self-develop. I had to really, really go to the depths of despair to get out of where I was. But it was the biggest transformation ever, which changed my life. It taught me how to make money. It taught me my mindset. It taught me self-development. It taught me how to be grateful for what I've got, because I was an ass before. Yep. I was very materialistic, not materialistic now. Like now I should be like, my peers, well, why are you not in a suit, Paula? Why are you not power dressed? Well, I like my hoodies. I like my T-shirts. It's who I am. That's not going to change. My dress is not going to stop you earning money. Yep. It's not going to stop what I've got in here for you. So I'm just me, if that makes sense. I'll turn up in my little cash guy, even though I could get a different car. As long as I'm happy and I'm enjoying it. And if I ever lose my money again, the best thing that's ever taught me is I'm not scared to lose my money, because I'll just get back up and do the same thing that I've done. Yeah. So I've installed myself on the structure and the systems how to do it.
Your money making machine.
Oh yeah. And that, you know what? I'm so glad I went through all that shit to get where I am today, because I won't be dependent. I won't be self-dependent now. Yeah. I'd be still working in a job, panicking about coming after holiday, panicking and seeing, have they found out anything bad that I've done that I don't know I've done that I'm going to get bollocks for? That negativity around, or Paula, you can't have today off. No, you can't. You've got to stay. All that crap. I'd still be there. I'd still be like, oh. And now I'm like, I get up. If I want to work, I'll work. If I want to go to the seaside, I'll go to the seaside. If I want to spend time with my daughter, I'll spend time with my daughter. It's just the power of freedom. It's just unbelievable.
Completely self-sustainable and in control of your financial destiny.
Yeah.
Which I think is like, and I think like a lot of I know like I felt that way as well. Like when I was like listening, when I first met you, for example, and then when my mum started her business too, and I was in my head, it was almost like cool. Like, how the fuck do I do that, man? Like, how do I get there? Like, and it's weird because I get that question quite a lot on the stream. Like, people feel unfulfilled. They don't enjoy their job, but they've got expenses, for example. They've got rent to pay. They've got their car. They've got like all these, the lifestyle charges they set themselves when they're in that job, in it. And then the thing is, there's never really an answer for it, at least for me, and maybe something that you could maybe touch on is like how to get over that. Like, I've got all these expenses to pay. I don't want to take the risk of quitting my job and starting a company, for example. Like, what would be your not your thought process behind it? Because you literally just went, I'm quitting. You got a 10k loan as well. Like, how did that even get approved? Or like, if you were in a lot of debt?
I don't know, because I was like mega debt, and I went to move it to my auntie's because I was sofa surfing at the time, and I was divorcing, so I had to do something to bring the cash flow in. But I was one of those employees that thought they knew what they were doing, but had no clue, if that makes sense. And I got Tesco's actually offered me 25k, and I was taking it. But my auntie, when I was in London working on that contract, she opened up the letter. And my aunties of that generation of, if you're taking a debt on, it goes against the house where you live in. Right. So she didn't know that's changed. And she just went absolutely scatty and mental at me, and not threw me out, but I thought, I'm going to get thrown out. And I thought, right, I'll just take 10k. Right. And I think it's the universe basically that's overrid the decision, gave me 10k. 10k was enough, to be fair, because you know what? When you've got no money, you're under pressure. You don't have the patience of, oh, you know what? I don't want to get up today. I don't do that. I don't want to go and make my money today. I'm not good enough. You don't have that privilege. You just get up and sort it out because you've got to put the money on the food on the table.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest blessing I've ever had from the universe, because I've coached many people who've had money and dawdle and spend time and get to the point when they lose all the money to then go, oh, I'm going to do some work now.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think,
like,
yeah, like experiencing both ends, like both ends of the spectrum, like feeling, because that's the thing as well, like the limbo that, say, I'm in at the moment, for example, like we've been speaking about, and I'll happily speak about this openly, thinking about taking on an investment for YEN, because we've got so many projects in the works that draining the cash flow we have at the moment just wouldn't be logical in terms of potentially entering into cash flow panic. And for a lot of people, like what that feeling they're having when they're thinking about leaving their job, for example, to start their company or start this business idea, and they've never been taught to by a business owner, and what they're experiencing is just that cash flow panic in it. It's like, shit, what do I do if I can't pay my rent? What do I do if I can't pay my car? You've got kids. Like, I know how my mum felt when she like went full time on it. It was like, if she didn't go out and make her money, then me and Melissa were homeless, innit?
Yeah.
And that was more than enough for my mum to go out and, sell to the best of her ability, knowing the knowledge that she had at that time. And she made it happen, man. She made it work. But it is like because I know, like, the way in which we work together, obviously everything we do today is a representation of how it will positively affect our business in 3 months. And knowing the systems and processes we're getting in place at the moment through the 5-Figure Business Club, I know where I'm going to be 3 months from now. And that's where, would I rather focus on the process and the systems and believe in everything I'm actually putting the time and effort into now, or and take on the investment knowing that that'll be light work to pay when the time is right? Or would I rather put myself in cash flow panic, potentially fuck up the systems and the processes by forcing sales that people aren't ready to commit to just yet?
Yeah. And you know what? Everyone will do the last option because the mindset will be, well, I don't want to take debt on, because if I take debt on and it goes wrong, I have to pay it back.
Yeah.
The only time it goes wrong is if you quit. So you will take wrong paths and you will take that deviation, but it's the learnings that are stopping you from getting it. So it's learning how to do it.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to fail. It's learning how to do it so you don't fail. And one thing that, going back to one of the questions, is you see so many miserable people in the jobs, and that you can see them wasting their lives and they hate it all because of bills. But they're addicted to security, and that's what the system teaches us from school right up to college, right to getting a job. You get addicted to security, and that security is what's going to make you fail. Yeah. Why don't you get addicted to self-improvement so you don't fail?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And I think as well, I think it was probably when I met anyone from the stream will know exactly what I was speaking about, but Posty from my stream I've told you about him plenty of times. He had 6 companies across 2 continents. Phenomenal guy. And I had one call with him, and on that call I hopped on so naive, thinking, gonna get all these business tips, man. I'm gonna be fucking sorted. I'm actually gonna be so kitted out. And the whole call was just self-development. What can you do to make sure that your mindset is at optimal state so that you're at 100% output, or out as much as you can, and you're not running low on battery? You're making good decisions. You're making it based off logic, probability. There's no emotion involved. What can you do to make sure that you're constantly improving every single day? I think that call alone, and obviously being influenced by yourself and all the wide network that I have now, and all the athletes and stuff that I speak to, the mindset is the main pillar of any success that you're gonna obtain. I think, like, I was incredibly naive at that call. I remember hopping on it thinking, I'm so kitted out now, man. I'm actually speaking to, like, this is a high wealth individual that I never thought I'd have the chance to speak to at such an early stage. And it was all just mindset, man. Every single bit of it. And it's so interesting. There was another thing that I was wanting to say there, but
well, before you say that, there's something else I want to say. Going back to your investment.
Yeah.
So going back to your investment on this one is, number one skill of a business owner is to learn how to create cash flow.
Yeah.
So by creating cash flow, so the biggest thing you can do is put yourself under that pressure. As long as you're at a certain level of performance and knowledge and skill of taking money from other people's, using other people's money to make your money.
Yeah.
So for example, what you're going to do there, just say you borrow 10K. You're putting yourself under such an incredible gift to be able to not only learn how to make that 10K back, plus the interest, but once you've learned that, you can then just 10 times it and then 10 times that, if that makes sense.
And that's one of the main things you teach as well, innit? In terms of like, if I make £3,000 a month, for example, or £5,000 a month, let's make it simple actually. So let's make it 10 grand, because that's our focus at the moment, to get to 5 figures per month. Make 10 grand a month. It's X amount of clients, X amount of sale per month. If we want to get to 20 grand, we just double that formula that we've got. How do we scale to that number of clients at this price? How do we access that amount of, that sales pipeline? How do we access those people? And there's another thing as well, when you talk about your ideal client avatar, what a lot of people forget to do when they find their ideal client, they always go, I want more of this guy. I'd love to have 10 Blairs, 10 Andrews, 10 Isabels. It'd be phenomenal. And you can actually do it by sitting down. You have an ideal client avatar. The questions that you set me to ask all those individuals to find out what's questions on it, where they hang out, what their fears are, what they love doing, the proper nitty gritty juicy stuff, so that when your ideal client does come along again, exactly that they're the ideal client for you.
The way I thought about, the client avatar, everyone does it, right? Every customer coach does it, right? But I thought, what's the point of this client avatar? What a load of crap. But when I realised, when you've only got so much money in your marketing budget or your advertisement budget, whatever it is, you want to make sure that money works. So marketing is investment. So the only way you're going to make it work is if you put it right in front of your ideal client. So like, when you go to the toilet, I don't know what men's are like, but when you as a woman, you go to like the service station toilets, you sit down, there's so many advertisements on there. Right. Does that make sense? This is what was in my head, right? So if my ideal customer came to the toilet, what would they want to be reading to capture me? Does that make sense? And it's making sure when you do your ideal client avatar to make sure you get straight in front of that ideal client. And not your C's or D customers, like your crap or dead customers. You don't want to be near them because they will zap the life out of you. But you want to be in your awesome and your brilliant customers right in front of them. Yeah.
And what you mean by dead clients as well, for anyone that's listening, is essentially the clients that, they hassle you to lower your prices, their expectations of the price that they pay as well, because they're asking you to lower it. And if you do conform and you do lower those prices, and they hassle you down, they end up being the biggest pain in the arse out of any of the clients that you'll ever have. Whereas your A clients will come along, they won't question the price that you set. They'll have their own expectations or that you already have set, but because you under promise and you over deliver, they'll stick with you for the rest of your life. Essentially, the lifetime value of the clients is phenomenal. Whereas as well, your D clients will fuck off after a little while as well. They won't turn into your raving fans like you speak about as well. There's so many factors into it, but I think it was to relate back to the original question, kind of as a whole, because we went off on a bit of a tangent in terms of like just business and stuff like that. If an individual was to come to you and to speak about how the fact that, because you get this a lot in it, people want to quit their jobs but being too scared to do so. Like, what do you speak? What do you? Like, how do you speak to them about it? Like the thought process behind it.
It's a journey of discovery, believe it or not. So you've got to hold their hand and take them hand by hand, because it's all right me saying, leave a job now and you'll make a success on my experience. But they might not have my mindset, they might not have my knowledge or skills. So if I was going to help them do that, I see it as a responsibility of holding their hands and guiding them. So look, how much money do you need to make to replace your salary? That's your first thing. And what do you need to sell to be able to make that money? So I was £2,000 a month. And when I started doing my coaching, it was like, right, I need, it was like 20 clients at 150 quid a day, right? 5 days a week, 4 weeks of the month. And then I got onto, all right, it's hard to get 20 clients, so let's get 10, but double my money. So 300 quid. And before I knew it, I was realising how to work 2 weeks and 4 weeks. So for people to come out of a job, they've got to start thinking, how do I help influence people to come and buy me?
Yeah.
Not sell to them, but influence them.
Yeah.
So I've got a lady at the minute that I'm helping, and all she's doing is selling to me. And I'm like, I don't care about you.
Yeah.
I don't bother. Not that I don't care about it, but I don't know you. I'm not connected to you. I don't understand what you do. I don't know the benefits of what you can give me. Influence me. Let me connect with you as a human to human. Let me see what you like. And then I get interested in you, if that makes sense. And if people can come from a job and start learning these skills, they will fly.
Yeah. It's like the rapport, the know, like, and trust, as David planned to basically come out, because also we're going to be hosting that the simple steps to making a sale workshop on the 4th of November, which you'll be listening to this after that, so it would already be happened, but the recording will be available for anyone that's interested. But like within that, even just the way in which she's broke it down, he sent it to me already. You know, from an expert like David that's been working for Peninsula for 6 years. Last week, for example, we had the target of hitting 3 new clients. He hit 7.
Yeah.
In 1 week.
This?
And I'm like, I was sitting, because we have an accountability board in our virtual office space, and on that accountability board he'd set his goals, and on that board it said 3, and everyone else's was lower than that. But the way in which he set it out was like 0 out of 3. So every day he was coming and he was updating it. And on Thursday came in, it said 7 out of 3, and I was like, phoned him. I was like, what the fuck is this all about? How you signed 7 clients? And he was like, mate, I've had 8 meetings this week, and I've signed 7 of them. I was like, we need to get you doing a workshop just now. You need to teach people what you know, man, because you've got a gift there. Like, you can really change people's lives. And that's the thing as well. So many business owners, they're phenomenal at what they do, but they just can't sell. But not even sell, inspire, like you refer to as well. And there's a lot of gaps that get missed out as well when it comes to, I think people don't realise as well, to buy it somebody else, it's like the know, like, and trust aspect, but in my head it's the emotional connection. If someone's just trying to sell to you straight away, you don't know anything about them, you've got no emotional connection to them, you've got no obligation to want to learn more about them.
Yeah.
And that's what the foundation of YN's getting built on as well, where the natural networking happens anyways, and eventually you will buy from the individual that you're working with, but it's around something that's bigger than just turning up and doing a pitch, or me turning up and going, Paula, what is it you do? And then you tell me and I go, oh, that sounds pretty good, but then the networking event finishes and you go off and you do your own thing and you forget all about it. Whereas you come in together and you work on something that's bigger than just a pitch, for example, and you work together on problem solving, how a network should be, which is a support network, then the relationships you build, man, business will just get passed left, right and centre.
Exactly. And I love partnering with you guys, by the way. I know this is just recently we agreed to this, but it's a no-brainer. The atmosphere, the culture that you create in your network is phenomenal. I mean, I was begging to have this type of network or community when I was 20.
Yeah.
Like, there was no way I could go, if that makes sense. There probably was, but there was, like, in my age, like, what, when I was 20, I can't even remember now. What, 96?
Yeah.
We didn't even have the internet, I think, till 98, did we? Or something like that. So I feel old now. But can you imagine the value you can bring to these young ones to actually be lazy?
Yeah.
As well, young and lazy, and make this cash and not become a slave to the corporates who just want to use and abuse you. You sacrifice your health to work long hours to bring them money in when you can do it for yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Phenomenal.
And I think as well, I see this post all the time. I guarantee everyone's seen it. It's just like you work, say, 8 hours a week for a company that would replace you if you died tomorrow. That is so true, man. It's just like, I remember, like, if I get asked to come and do an extra shift, for example, as a waiter, so I get text on a Friday morning and they'd go, John, you fancy coming in? Fancy coming in tonight? Working, come on, mate, it'd be amazing if you could come in and help us out, that kind of stuff. And if I said yes, best pal. If I said no, no response after it.
Yeah.
As soon as I said, nah, sorry, Jim, I can't come in, just no reply until next week when it happened again. What's happening, John, mate? Can you come in? And if I said yes, it'd be, oh, you're absolutely outstanding, mate. We'll make sure you've got, some food set for you when you come in, blah, 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 a load of shit. Like,
yeah,
they just don't care about you, man. And like, I think people, I mean, there's so many sayings that all come around in that front, and it's what is it about a salary? The unhealthiest addiction is a monthly salary, something along those lines.
Addiction to security, isn't it?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. You see, that person would care about you, but he cares about himself more and the need he needs. Does that make sense? And this is the thing I don't get about people. Like, if you genuinely care about people, you don't come first, they come first in that way. But then they'll do more for you later.
Yeah.
So if you say, Jim says, John, can you jump? You say, yeah, how I, mate? Because he's treated you well and you treat him back. It's like I'm working for a big company at the minute, one of my clients, and I was a little bit shocked by it, right? Mm-hmm. And one of their, I've got to watch what I say because I might have clients listening, but one of their workers died.
Right.
And they said, it's fine, Paul, we've got the recruitment agency going to get somebody else in straight away. And I went, he died on Wednesday. This is like Friday. And it was like, no, it's fine. We really need him. We're like short-staffed. And I was like, whoa, like what message are you sending out to your employees here? Why don't we actually, in respect of this guy, why don't we actually close the job off and say in memory of blah, 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 this is his job for life, like even in the afterlife, like close it off and redesign the job.
Yeah.
And I was like taken back because it's not what I want to create in a business. So it's not about me, it's about them. But I think employees miss a massive point of really treat people as people. You get the best out of them.
Yeah. It's like any company as well. Like the smaller the company, the better relationships are within it, and like that's why a lot of these companies that are constantly under scrutiny. They're fucking huge. I mean, Amazon, all these mad companies they're under so much scrutiny in terms of how they treat their employees. But the business is so fucking big that it's I think it was Ben Francis from Gymshark, where I was speaking to Connor Malone on Saturday about it, and Ben Francis came in and spoke about the biggest difficulty in scaling a business is keeping the culture when you're bringing in the people need to be just like you. And if you try and scale a business quickly and you let that fall by the wayside and you just start bringing in people for the sake of it, quickly everything just starts falling to shit beneath it because you've got people in, if you even in a steps format, you know, to the top you've got Ben Francis, and as they fall down the steps you've got people just like them, and then the sixth step down somebody that's nobody like him, the rest of the steps below that all just fall to shit as well. And I think that's if you're wanting to build a community and a culture and you're wanting to scale it in a way, because with YN I always think about a sustainable and a scalable business model, and that is just not possible if you're just filtering people in whenever the fuck you feel like it. Like with that situation with the guy passing, for example, just cool, just bring somebody else in, just stick him in. You know, it doesn't matter. It's something I've been constantly thinking about as well. Finding people like Andrew, Isabel, Blair, they made my life so easy because I found them in the first month of my, like not the first month, but like I launched YN in December, like the first pre-launch event, December 17th in 2020. And by March, I had all three of those. And they were like, they'd be my ideal client model. Like, for the whole time. I was so fortunate to have them to begin with. And they set the bar so high. Something like Andrew, for example. I mean, you work with Andrew yourself. Like, even those accountability messages and the depths he goes with all of them, like, just to make an impact in my life. Like, and sitting on Saturday, for example, having food, joining each other's company, you know, having a few drinks and stuff like that. Hearing them say things like, we are going to take YN to here, and this is how we are going to come together and we're going to build this area YN. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, this isn't even their company, man. And like, it's like in my head, it's almost like puts you in awe in it, because you're like, you've got people that invest that much in you. And it just drives you to go on and do more as well, man. And just build much more of build more for them as well. It's almost like they become like, don't want to say my Waynes because there's no more Waynes, but like it's like a family in it. It's just becomes something so much more. And
that's the important part of it. Is it's a family, it's a culture, and you've got your core Now you've got your core of people that attract like-minded people. So I'd be like, right, let's do a goal for each one of them, right? And do an incentive with them and bring the people. If they can, they'll track their own people. If that makes sense, like, I like them.
Yeah.
Get them in, use it. That's the quickest way, the quickest longer-term way to grow it. Because if you have a client that stays with you for a full year and raves about you, you've got a 92% chance of keeping them for life.
Yeah. You have a lot of stats like that because we speak a lot about them in terms of just converting sales, the 12-touch process.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? 2% of sales are converted in the first touch.
Yep, 2%.
And people just after the first touch, it's like, all right, cool, fuck that. It should take you 100 different people you'd convert to sales, whereas in 12 touches you convert 85% on it. 80.
Up to 80% return. And all you need to do is take them through a buying process, a sales process that helps them experience you, helps you trust you trust them, you get to know them, you connect on a human-to-human basis, and that's how easy it is to inspire people to work with you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the nurturing aspect, I had a phenomenal meeting yesterday with James Berg, which was such an interesting meeting. And when I hopped on the call with him, he said to me, if anyone doesn't know James Berg is, he runs Pickerins, which is a marketing company or social media agency company. He does so many things. The guy does talks, writes books, video animation. He's working on movies and stuff like that. He's doing all sorts of stuff. Has his own podcast with his dad, Phil Berg, who you know very well in it, Paul.
Phenomenal guys.
And Phil Berg as a whole in it, what was it with BNI? Was he one of the directors? Is that what it was?
It was like the national director of BNI, which means he'll go around and help people build their own BNI groups.
Right. And BNI, for anyone that's listening, is a business network. It was one of the, I think it was the most successful of its kind. And yeah, Phil also helped build that into what it is today, where they had millions of clients all over the world.
That guy had 100 people in one of his groups. 100 people at a BNI group, 100. It's like, wow, that's just to get that is just absolutely mega.
Yeah, 100%. I think when I had that meeting with James yesterday, when I hopped on, he was like, the last time we chatted, was it we spoke about it again? I said, James, we've actually never chatted before. And he was like, oh, that's what it was. You sent me a video message. And off the back of that video message, you sent me a voice message. And on that voice message, he was like, I've never had anyone send me a video message ever. And off the back of that, when we sat and had that chat, I was like, James, what age are you, if you don't mind me asking? And he was like, I'm 30. And at the age of 30, he's staying in Portugal. He's surfing every weekend. He's, got all these different fucking avenues that he was talking about the Disney ecosystem. Now everything's obviously filtering back to him, his brand, what he's wanting to build with Pickerins and all that kind of stuff. And the way he's articulating everything was literally how this board behind me, because I showed him this board of how I articulated YEN and streaming and how I wanted them to create my own ecosystem. And he was like, at the age of 30, he was telling me all this kind of stuff. And he was like, wait, what age are you? And I was like, I'm 22. He's like, at 22, you've got a sales approach that is so genuine and natural. You'll just be a massive success. And I thought, thanks very much, James, mate. That's very nice, eh? That's very nice. And he was like, I've worked with people that are, 30, 40 upwards that have, they don't have that natural sales approach. And they just throw it in your face. And when people are like that, it's hard to get them out that rhythm of getting out of that salesy, just orientated, and with having that natural nurture and being authentic. He was like, you'll thrive, man. You'll just skyrocket. And I was like, sitting and speaking to him was so humbling, but at the same time, like watching how his brain was working. I just love all that shit, man. Like the creative side of a business, like listening to him speak about every single thing funnels back to him and how he's building this wider brand when he's worked with companies like Facebook, Google, like some of the biggest monster companies on this planet at the moment. It was so interesting. There's not much more to say on it, to be fair, but it was something that's brought my mind. I don't know how we ended up in this topic.
I don't know, but it's exciting though.
It is so exciting. And I think, like, obviously, like with us, we focus on the internal aspect It's probably a good time to go into the mindset deep dive, to be honest. But what I mean by that, for anyone listening, the internal is like focusing on what you can control. And everything that you do is based off the fact that you want to do it. You know, you're authentic, you're yourself, like Paul was speaking about earlier. You know, she's going to wear her hoodies, she's not going to throw up in a suit, she's going to be who she is. She's not going to conform with the norm because people will have a stereotype, for example. I even had a meeting on Monday, for example, turned up this hoodie, joggies to an accountancy firm that had been existing for over 30 years. You know, phenomenal individual that my mum spoke very highly of, but I wasn't going to tame myself and stick on jeans and a nice top and all that kind of stuff. And that meeting went on for an hour and 30 minutes. And we hit it off to a level where he gave me a welcome package. I'm not even his client. Gave me a welcome package with cookies and shortbread, and we had such good rapport. And that was just off the fact that I was myself, for example, and that wouldn't have happened if I just conformed. If I stuck on a suit and rocked in and I wasn't myself.
That's it. It's like this. What people forget as well is, what does your ideal client dress like?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm all right turning up in a suit, power dressing with my heels, which I'll never would wear heels, by the way, because I'd just break them. But and then going to a mechanic who's got overalls, he'll just feel insecure.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's like, be yourself, dress like what you want to dress like. That attracts your ideal client.
That's where the magic happens as well, man. See, when you start I think I realised it myself and how YN's evolving now, coming away from the networking events and stuff. When you conform with the norm, you don't break out that competition trap, and you're competing with everyone else. When in reality, when you're authentic and you're doing things your way and you're building something that society doesn't even know it needs yet, the only competition is you, because you're one of one. The same way, if Joe Rogan was to fall off the edge of Earth tomorrow, you know, nobody's just going to come in and just be the next Joe Rogan. You know, Joe Rogan's one of one. There's nobody will ever be like Joe Rogan ever again. And it's that same concept, to be yourself. It's so fucking powerful. I could speak about that shit all day, man.
I know. I could. I'm trying to hold myself back because there's so much I could say, but just be you. Yeah. Have the balls to be you.
That's how the magic happens, man. If you do that so early on, I feel like I've done it so early on, doing it in the first year of business, to just like be like, you know what, fuck all this, man. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it my way. Even LinkedIn posts, I used to get my mum to proof check my LinkedIn posts.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'd say things like, do you think I should swear in this? Do you think I should post this? Mum would be like, John, just going to fucking post it, man. And I'd be like, sorry, Mum, I'm just like trying to make sure it's all right. And I was like, even looking back on it, I was setting myself up for the opposite of everything I believe in, which is self-sustainability. You know, proof checking. Even me messaging last night and going, what do you think of this investment opportunity? But in reality, I know what the best thing is for me. Do you know what I mean? Why am I going down that route? And that's what you do really well as well. You don't, the action learning aspect of asking the questions to prompt the answer, rather than just going, this is what I think you should do, John, because it doesn't build a self-sustainable individual or a sustainable business either. It's so interesting.
Yeah, I always think about Steve Covey. Always ask a question to seek to understand first.
Yeah.
Rather than judging what they think, you think they're saying. Does that make sense? And asking the questions as a coach, right? There's some coaches, I'm not saying all coaches, there's some coaches out there that will get you to rely on them, so that they've always got a paycheck or money coming in. Mm-hmm. Whereas that's, to me, is unethical. I want to build you up so you grow beyond me, so that you go to a better coach, if that makes sense, that takes you even further. Yeah,
100%. Couldn't agree more. So let's do this mindset deep dive then, because we'll end up here all day. We won't even do it. So let's do it. And that's funny enough, like I said, this is the kind of questions that you didn't help me prepare. You just gave me rough points to kind of touch on. So from an accountability standpoint, what do you do to make sure you get shit done?
This might not be helpful for anyone, but this one, I've got to get in a fucked off mindset. Right. Like high focus, laser sharp focus. Cut out the crap from me. Nobody around me. So my partner Joe will be like, Paula, can you just look after Emily? It's a non-negotiable. No, my door's shut. I'm doing this and I'm getting it done. Does that make sense? Like on WhatsApp, I'll put it on where I get no notification comes through at all. Mm-hmm. It's I'm in my silo. It's focused. Get it done. Then I go on to the next job. So I focus on the 1% as well. The small actions often. So if I improve it by 1% every day, I'm on my way. Does that make sense? So it's also having the bullshit. Take the bullshit away. Your mind will try and play games with you. And like, as soon as I see it, I'll go, no, bugger off. Door shut. So that's how I hold myself accountable every day, if that makes sense.
Yep, no, I completely understand. I think I don't agree with a lot of this guys like Dan Payner. The Tround or bad. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but in terms of like when he speaks about the patterns in individuals like Elon Musk and stuff like that, for example, the people that he's worked with, in terms of their focus, like nobody can compete with their level of focus. Like when they're in that getting shit done mindset, which is for most of these high performers is all the time. The focus levels, no distractions, is phenomenal for sure. And I think I've got a young lad that I'm speaking to at the moment, David, and he voiced noted to me yesterday and he said, John, don't if you send me a message, I won't be replying until whatever time it was. And it was like, I think it was like 12:30 or something. I was speaking to him, and it was like 6 o'clock or something like that. And I was thinking, I wonder why. And he was like, and before I could even ask him why, he'd already said in the voice note it was because he locks his phone in his car whenever he goes into his zone, so that nobody can contact him, and nobody, so that he just sole focus. And I like just like hearing him say that was so just empowering in a way, but also like just like you were speaking about the power hours and some of the sessions. So each time you dedicate just 1 hour of your time fully focused, you save 4 hours of just fanning about and just doing shit whenever you feel like it.
You can do 8 hours. 8 hours working, just 2 hours power hours. 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, done. And normally I get up at 5 and I'll get all my stuff done by 8, because by 8 o'clock your distractions start. No matter who it is, your clients are calling, or you want to go to the gym or whatever, your mind starts wandering. So just get it done. And when I've worked at a high level, because I have worked at a very high level and seen these high performers perform, it's such a gift to see the mindset. Like I was with one guy and I was talking to him and he didn't even hear me. He was just focused and I was talking to him and I had to go, James. And he was like, oh, sorry. He just cut out all the rambling. And I thought, right, now that's where I need to focus on. Yeah. Which I do to Joe now. And Joe's like, Paula, are you hear me? And I'm like, what? What? Dishes? Who does the dishes? Really?
I can imagine that as well. And then Joe just pumps you one in the head. Get your shit in the gear. The second question is, what habits do you have that you could never replace?
Oh, loads. One, creating my lists for my I call them success lists, but the to-do lists for the next day. That's a must. And then for the full week, and then for the full month, and then for the full 3 months and 6 months. So definite lists. Second, this is my ultimate. Getting me headset on, listen to inspirational music, and visualizing the impact that I'm having on helping people. It just buzzes me out of my nut, if that makes sense. That just really sets me up for the day. Meditation's really good. Drinking water's really good. Exercise, I should be really best mates with. Need to really, really be more passionate about that. But it's coming good. I'm getting sharper. Reading, self-development, or ultimate self-development every single day has got to happen. Like my 20-10-5 formula, 20 minutes of learning, 10 minutes of writing up that learning, 5 minutes of teaching something new about your learnings. It's just changed my life. I used to be right thicko at school. I only had 4 GCSEs back in 92. And I used to always think I was thick, but that way I've learned now, just think, wow, have I grown that fast in such a short time with that?
I mean, Andrew's actually sat and spoke about like just active learning in general, in terms of just what you're speaking about there, that 20-10-5 formula. It's obviously a form of active learning in general. And for me, the active learning that worked, and why I went through 5 months of not going to a single uni lecture or seminar and still passing all my exams, is because listening back to anything that I would do, I would write questions based on the information that was given to me. So, for example, if I was to listen to you just now, I would say, what is the 20-10-5 formula? And then once I'd walked through the rest of this podcast, I would come back to it and I would say, I'd come back to that question. I'd be like, right, cool, what is the 20-10-5 formula? And I'd write down my answer and I'd go back and I'd hear what you said. And if I got it wrong, I'd repeat it again. So I'd reword the question. And keep repeating it, because when you're asking yourself a question, obviously it's the action of actually thinking about it rather than just, okay, the 20-10-5 formula is this. When in reality, what is it? Something like 10% of what you hear, 20% of what you read, 40% of what you write, and then 80% of what you do is how much information you intake. Some sort of formula like that, anyways, are the percentages.
Right.
You're eliminating that like 10, 20, 40 area by just writing down a question to then prompt an action at the end of it to actually think about what it was you obtained. And since speaking to Andrew about that, like Andrew was the one that showed me that method. And I thought, well, it was what I was doing at uni anyways, but I didn't realise I was doing it. I didn't realise there was a word for it and stuff. I was just what I thought was best. And if everyone done that at uni, because all it is just retaining information in it, the ability to retain information to then go and sit an exam, that then equals your worth as an individual in school. So if everyone done that, everyone had fucking straight A's. The school system be like, what the fuck's going on?
Well, they do these days, don't they? Everybody I know has got like 9 A+ passes, and I'm like, I only got 4 GCSEs and 1 was a B and 3 was C's. I'm like, where did they get this?
I know, and I think I was the same at school, man. My only higher was PE, physical exercise. And that was the only reason I got that higher was because I was that good at football. That my one-off performance covered. I think my one-off performance got me up to a C already, and all I had to do was get like 10 marks in my written exam to pass out of like 40.
Oh man.
So like when I was at school, I was the same. But if I knew about action learning and how, or active learning, and how to actually implement it as a habit as well, and doing it even during reading, like Andrew will sit with Notion open up, and if anyone doesn't know what Notion is, it's something you can use on your PC or whatever that allows you to implement into sections, folders, journaling, create templates that suit yourself. And Andrew, habit building, episode 2 of the podcast, for anyone's listening that you want to know what I'm talking about, go back, listen to episode 2, because Andrew, when it comes to habits, he's just an absolute guru. He's going to change so many lives.
He's brilliant. He's a brilliant guy, Andrew. Lovely, sweet. You'll learn a lot from Andrew.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. The third question is,
okay,
how did you obtain the knowledge in the field that you're in?
Good question. I've been a coach for over 25 years. So even at age 8, I was a coach at karate. Then I went to McDonald's. So I've been a coach all through that time. So I've studied what it is to be a master coach, if that makes sense.
Yep.
In the business side of it, definitely through experience, 100%. So whatever I've experienced, I've then developed it into a coaching program.
Yep.
It made it sharper and sharper and sharper every year I've done it. But the biggest learning bit was when I was really skint, and I actually got asked to work for a big coaching company to help business owners make 10K a month.
Mm.
And I had to pay I had to give $6,000 to come to this coaching company for them to teach me. And at the time I was like, I couldn't even afford £7.99 for a book. And I borrowed the money. So this is why I now know, use other people's money to grow your money, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I put it down, and it was in Las Vegas for 10 days of training. That was life-changing. Yep. That's where I really knew how to get customers and do business and all that stuff. So one of my mindsets at the time was, I'm not paying that to not learn anything, but you know what? How much money have I lost by having that mindset until the day I had to really do it? So that's where I've got it from. And books, YouTube videos, getting a role model and going, right, I'm going to stalk the hell out of you on YouTube. Let me learn about what you do and how you do it.
Yeah. I think back to when T. Harv Eker speaking about Secrets to Your Mind about his dad's rich friends. As soon as they started, back then, obviously you couldn't just stalk something on YouTube, for example. You know, we have a land of opportunity in terms of any individual we want to make a role model. We've got an abundance of information on them, and I think now the problem I done a post on it is that like the paradox of choice. You know, we've got this abundance of information, but we don't know where to start, who to trust, who to actually speak to, who's full of shit, who's not full of shit. You know, in that aspect. And We have access to so many role models that can change lives, man. Like Gary Vee posts 37 pieces of content a day, man. Like, you're telling me there's not enough content for you to learn from him. Like, don't chat shit, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, this, the opportunity is phenomenal, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. And with Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, the reason I bought that book for some of the people in my community was that he literally explains how he went from starting all these companies that were constantly failing, and it was just because he didn't know he wasn't thinking the way in which the rich thought. And it's life-changing book, innit?
Best book ever. If anybody doesn't know what it looks like, it's that. Definitely changed my mind, my life. It's changed over 1,000 of my clients' lives. And it just teaches you about how to make money and how to think, like what your past programming is stopping you making money.
Yeah, that was a turning point for me, the programming. I think because Scott, my closest friend that I've spoken about many a time, Scott's mindset was fucking phenomenal. And his mindset was having a house in Florida with his back gardens, a beach, having a Nissan GTR, having a jet ski shop, having an apartment where when he opened up his curtains, he had a balcony where he looked onto the beach in Orlando. He had all these mad aspirations at 15, 16 when we'd sit and eat rolls and sausage at break. And I was sitting there thinking, fuck hell, man, my dad told me to get joining an apprenticeship when I was younger and to go on and get a Corsa as my first car.
Yeah.
And there's two ways in which I could go down. I could be like, well, fucking hell, he's nothing like me. Let me just, patch him and just go and do my own thing and find more people like me. But instead, it was at that time, it was like, I need that. I want that. I need to evolve. How does he think that way? Why does he think that way? And the more I dove into that and learned more about him, and became really close friends with Scott, then went on to college with him, then to university. He helped me grow into the person I am today. And then when I read Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, I sat there and it all just clicked to me the first time I read it. I was like, fuck, that's everything Scott was doing, man. Like his mindset was all based off his family over in America that had a house in Florida where their back garden was the beach. They had a jet ski in their back garden. They had a Corvette instead of a Nissan GTR. He had all of that stuff that he'd witnessed and seen and visualized and knew it was possible. Whereas for me, I didn't see any of that shit, man. I just seen what my dad was doing. And at the time, my mum was a high earner in terms of what an average employee would earn, but not a business owner earner. There's so many factors that come into it, man. That the verbal programming aspect, as soon as you realize that you're in control of how you wire, how you think, and get eliminating all those limiting beliefs, sky's the limit, man. You do it.
That's what stops people, is the limiting beliefs. Not because they can't do it. It's just the beliefs behind what they've been programmed in. And this is one of the things that I'm really passionate about, John, is you are not your past. You're not your label. Whatever you've been taught, you can drop that learning, relearn, to help you then thrive later on, if that makes sense. So my dad was a miner down the pit, like 20 hours a day, 7 days a week he would work down the pit. Not see him he did make some money, but it's like, I didn't want that life. I wanted to do it sharper, but I didn't know how. And nobody around me told me how. So it's like, I wish I was taught what I know now. And that's no offense to my dad and my mum, but it's been an even better, not a better life, but I could be more of a service to the planet. Yeah.
And at what cost is that 20 hours of work per day?
Well, my mum died at 42 and my dad was retiring the next day. And he was gutted because the new life was starting. Yeah. And that says it all to me. My mum died at 42. His life changed overnight, and his life, when he could have the time with her, she wasn't there. So
incredible, isn't it? It's incredible, isn't it? In terms of because people obviously go through life thinking that would never happen to them. Something as terrible as that would never happen. And it's almost like there's so much terrible things happening in the world every single day, and I don't know. I think people don't realize that it's like the Naval Ravikant quote. Every person has two lives. The second life begins when you realize they only have one, and most people go through life not realizing they only have actually one life, and everything could go to shit whenever, man. So why are you slugging away at a job that you hate? Why are you in a relationship with someone that's toxic and brings out the worst in you, makes you feel like shit every single day? Why have you got friends that make fun of you? Why have you got friends that question your passions? Why have you got friends that make you want you to dress a certain way, attend certain parties? there's so many questions, man, that just...
Yeah. And there's 3 points as I've always gone through in my life is mindset, unleash your power, leave a legacy. Because your legacy teaches people after you've gone, or serves the people after you've gone.
Yeah. And in terms of, so Gary Vee always speaks about it as well.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. He always speaks about leaving a legacy and like what he wants to build and wanting to buy the New York Jets, for example, and all that kind of shit. It's all...
does he want to buy Man United?
Maybe he does. You might have to pitch it to him and get him in one of your get him within your network, reach him. But I fancy Man United because
I think he's going low with the New York Jets. It needs to go higher. Man United.
I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised at all. So I mean, we kind of spoke about it a little bit, to be fair. But when did it click for you that you can help and inspire people to change their lives?
Pretend click or real click?
Both.
Okay. I've always known I've been able to help people, but I always have that doubt as a coach. When I was at First Direct Banking, I was coaching people. Are they making any improvements? Are they increasing the performance? Are they doing that? And it wasn't until the real click happened with your mum and Wendy, where your mum increased her performance, like where she was. She used to cry and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, bless her. And she was at 0 practically to like 2,831% increase in 12 months, said it all to me. And then Wendy going from 0 to 569k in 2 years. And I was like, I do know my stuff. I can get these people to where they're going to get to. So, that's when I started to realise that my power of myself. I saw the evidence. I'm like, stop taming myself. Stop being a pain in the ass and fanning about. And that's why I've got that laser sharp attitude now of, I'm here, I'm serving, and I'm going to make a difference.
And until then as well, until that actual like realization, like you would you may or may not have conformed with like thinking, kind of, is what I'm teaching them really going to get them the results that I'm telling them that they're going to get? And then having someone like my mum, I mean, the total turnover now, what, 8,200 or something along those lines?
Oh, massive more. She's 5 times her coaching fees in a year. She's gone way over 8,532, I think it was, when I looked at it for last year. So she's just phenomenal. And we even started at a wrong starting point. So I've put her at a higher starting point, not where she actually started from. And she's still got those results. Yep. So it's been incredible.
And just to be clear for anyone that's listening as well, my mum literally got made redundant. Pretty much overnight. I mean, overnight in terms of a job that she'd had for 10 plus years, a redundancy shouldn't happen that quick as such. And at that time, she wanted to take them to court. There was a lot of stressors. There was so many factors that were coming into play for, what is the term? Wrong redundancy or whatever it's called?
Constructive dismissal?
Something along those lines. Or
we need David Plant for that.
Aye, we do. Spawn him in a bat. Scott, phone David. Get a wee in for me. He knows his stuff, doesn't he? Any questions you ask him, he knows his stuff so well. Is it something dismissal? It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm sure it'll come back. I don't think it's constructive. I think it's
that thingy. That
thingy. Anyways, and when my mum went through that, everything changed overnight. In her head, it was like she wanted to, like my granddad. I remember my granddad and my gran and stuff. I was like, you fucking take them to court. You fucking get that money and all that sort of stuff. And the penny dropped for mum one day when the stress. I remember she said, I don't know if she's ever spoken about that stuff, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying, but she sat down with the lawyer, and the lawyer said it was going to take her up to a year to even get to court. Which was obviously multiple of the lawyer fees up to then, like just ridiculous. And she was sitting there and she was like, for me to not even guarantee like anything, and the stress of that as well, or like under like taking on all that stress for over a year to potentially not even get anything to drain your pocket. And obviously lawyers give that kind of, we're going to get your money, we'll make it happen, but the actual year to 2 years of doing it, and it's so easy for the people in the back seat as well to be like, why would you give that up? You know, why would you not do it? Because people ask my mum that all the time because they knew it was unfair dismissal. That's what it was. So it was so easy externally to ask the questions of why. And the penny dropped from mum when she was like, they're going to get, when I build this company up, or when I build my own company up, and I'm in control of my own financial destiny and I make it happen based off me, that will be my fuck you to them. And that was when everything changed for my mum. And if anyone's listening, like my mum literally, like I said, in the space of a week, my mum was very upset and stuff like that. And I was not too young to understand. I was like 18. I knew something was going on, but I didn't know what. And I was asking her, like, is everything all right? And she was just like, I think I'm going to get made redundant. And then she did. And from then, she was literally just like, fuck, like, what did I do? I thought I was going to be in this job for the rest of my life. I was on a cushy wage. Life was chilling. Life was chilling. And everyone went to shit. And from there, 3 years later, she's the happiest I've ever seen her by far. Even after the first year, she was the happiest I've ever seen her by far. And that whole time that she was working for somebody else.
She's your mum's phenomenal as well, but I think it's such a blessing that's happened to her. Like, I think the universe shakes you and go, right, you're not on the right path now. You've done your duty in corporate or whatever. Move up to doing your own business and getting your own freedom. And she took it. And she went through a lot, your mum, like a hell of a lot. But like, she's changed as a person as well. She's just phenomenal lady. But don't tell her to say that because then it sounds a bit soft. But she just needs to up the game a bit now, right? Right, Alison, you need to up the game.
100%. To get to that, I don't know what our figures or targets are at the moment. I won't say on the podcast anyways, but I like.
Yeah. But your mum, right, is a typical example of being addicted to security and what it can do to you.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, no matter if you're an employee or whatever, your job is to bring money onto food onto the table. But don't get addicted to it on security because they'll just wipe it away from you. Yep. And when they wipe it away from you, you're buggered.
That's why I think it's so ironic that fucking even I watched Rebecca try to get a flat as self-employed. They were like, you've got no. I mean, like Rebecca was, fucking 20 plus clients in her first 6 months. Fucking killing it in personal training, man. Like earning more than what any average employee fucking what they would earn, 2-3 times over. And they're looking at us thinking, no, I'm not taking you on for a flat that's fucking £500 rent per month. Rebecca was literally offering them 3-4 times the deposit they were asking her, and they were going, nah, you've got no security, no guarantee you'll still have the clients by this time next year, for example. When in reality, like jobs, there's fuck all security with jobs, man.
It's just a system that entraps you. It's like if there was no jobs and just say there's no jobs, what would you do to put money on the table?
Yeah.
Like to bring food in. Years ago, I think we used to go out hunt, didn't we, and bring it on the table. We've lost all that. Be self-dependent. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and something I was going to bring up earlier. Actually, probably slipped my mind was the hunter-gatherer times in general. Like we're built for obviously like as humans to survive, and what survival has become now is security from monetary aspects. The survival is what wages you need in order to survive. When it shouldn't be. It should be what wages do you need in order to, or what money do you need in order for you to thrive and move forward and actually make shit happen. Because once again, Neville Ravikant has a really good fucking theory on, the road back to the hunter-gatherer times. There was a blacksmith, there was a hunter. They had their tribe, that everyone had their own job that they went out and done. But in reality, their own job was, yes, the jobs all worked in tangent, but it was everyone had their own business, their own specialty. And he was like, he believes that society in this day and age can, but too many people just fucking love security, love being told what to do, love the thought of them. In his words, it was like you'd have to lead the horse to water and then get it to like drink the water as well. And most people don't want that. And
so true.
Aye, it's a phenomenal theory. I've spoken about that podcast so many times because I've listened to it that many times that there's so many gems from it. It's like yourself with Secrets in Your Mind.
Yeah.
I've listened to it that many times that just has so many gems from it.
But every time I listen, I've done it for 6 years. Every single day I've listened to it, right? 20 minutes a day of it. Every single day I get a different golden nugget. How does that work? How does that work? One book can make you millions, I always say, but how many golden nuggets can you get from one book? It's phenomenal.
Yeah. It was I was out with like a couple of lads I used to go to school with, and one of the lads was speaking about how much he'd saved up, and just say for talking sake, I said to him, I was like, if you had 10 grand just now, what would you do with it? And he said he'd spend 3 grand on getting new teeth because his teeth had been a problem for him growing up and all that kind of stuff. He'd put 4 grand away for traveling, and the other 3 grand he would invest in crypto, like cryptocurrencies and stuff. And I was like, right, like, why do you want to invest in crypto and stuff? And he was like, just like I made a little bit of money in it. I reckon I could make more in it. And I was like, it's weird how everyone always thinks in terms of investment that they need to invest in something that's going to make them more money, like a tangible, like if I invest this 3 grand, I can get 10 grand back. But in reality, you invest a tenner in yourself and buy yourself a book or a course or invest in something like yourself, for example.
Yeah.
Well, the whole life would change, man.
Yeah. You know, like I've cottoned on to there's different types of assets that will make you money, that will pay for your lifetime. So you've got like, you know, your stocks and your shares and your houses. Nobody ever thinks about their business as an asset, a system. So if you create a system that makes money without you having to do any work, that's a residual income.
Yep.
And nobody thinks about business assets. And I'm like, oh man. So like, even if they just put £1,000 away and that grand builds up a system, that grand can make 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, so forth.
Yep.
Drives me nuts.
No, couldn't agree more. Well-oiled machine.
Yes.
Like and I've got all these parts to a car. I just need to sync it all up, man. Sync it all up, and it's a money-making machine for sure.
You're not going to be just phenomenal. You're going to be mega nominal soon.
Mega nominal.
Mega.
I need to add that to my vocab. The last question at the 5 questions that we had was for the mindset deep dive is, where do you think your money mindset is at as a high performer?
So this is my vision. I want to learn how to get 1,000 sign-ups to pay me £42 a month in commitment to learn from my online portal a month. So if you make it a 12-month contract, that's what, 42 million a month residual.
Right.
Yeah. What did I say? $1 million? Did I say $1 million or 1,000?
You said 1,000.
I meant $1 million.
Right.
That's a dyslexia kicking in. So 1 million people paying me 42 quid a month on a residual basis. That's 42 million a month. That's my goal. That's what I want to learn how to do. And that's what we're researching and growing myself into that particular coach to be able to do that. So that's where I am at the minute. Where I would say I need to develop a bit more is I found something. And it was right funny. Joe was like, every time you get money, you go and reinvest it back into the business rather than follow the 40-40-20 rule, which is 40% of it goes into tax, 40% to reinvest in your business, and then live off 20% of it. And I thought, she's right. So like, I always like to sharpen it up. So like, as welcome box, I was like, right, we could get whatever we get in there, like a personal wallet and stuff. And she's like, Paula, you're not following your rules. I was like, shit, I'm not. So my abundance sometimes overtakes me. Whereas I can still be abundant in various ways to be able to still grow and help people. And that's where I need to sharpen up on that one.
Yep. No, I agree. I think the abundance mindset is something that probably took me a bit of work. That was probably one of the areas I wanted to, like, I had the abundance mindset, but I didn't have it in a way that, like you were explaining, to actually best utilize what I was offering to people in terms of, so like GSE, the custom trainers business we were making, 80 to 90% markup on the pairs that we were making, right? But there was 3 of us, so we were actually only profiting, 20 to 30% each. And that's to say we didn't reinvest it at all either. So taking a salary, so we're making maybe making like £20-30 each of each pair that we made. And what we were doing though was, adding in like GSE stickers, spray painting the box matte black, having a thank you letter inside it, like going above and beyond, right? But the prices didn't reflect what we were actually, the customer cuddles we were offering. Like, we were going above and beyond in something that, like, the abundance mindset existed, but I didn't even know it existed at that time. And at that time, I probably should have controlled it a bit more. because the prices weren't reflecting what I was doing. And then I think it was the event masterclass I went to with James. I think it might have been actually James Berger that was on it, and he was speaking about how Apple with their customer cuddles, in terms of like an Apple iPhone costs £1,000 to buy, but only costs like £150 to make. So the margins they have, upwards of 750%, markup. They use that 750% to train their employees for 45 minutes before every single work session. They, the unboxing of a new iPhone, the free charger, the free earphones, headphones, AirPods, whatever it may be. It's all factored into the fact that their markup is just ridiculous in terms of how much money they're actually making. And my abundance mindset was there, but the price didn't reflect what we were actually offering them. So like the price of which we were pricing everything at was a low performer price. So like what everyone else was charging, rather than the fact that we're going above and beyond for these people, so the prices should be higher. And it's the same with this young and lazy stuff, man. Like, yes, you see the hoodies, and the hoodies will be phenomenal quality. They'll be absolutely amazing, but just know you're going to get about 1 million different incentives in there. And every time it's going to be reflective of the price that you pay. It's not going to be... Some of these companies, man, they charge like £100 to £150 for a hoodie, for example, some of these massive companies. There's no customer cuddles on it. You're literally just paying for the brand. There's no actual... You're just paying because that's the price that they've set for the quality that they're wanting to deliver. And some of the hoodies aren't even that high quality either. It's just you're literally paying for the brand. So if we get a price in which is just this sweet spot of us being able to, one, optimize the profits we're making to make sure that the whole experience is phenomenal, and there's so many extra things that you're going to get off the back of that hoodie, then it's land of opportunity, man. And people are going to be blown away every time they purchase anything from anything. It's anything that I do, and like you say, under promise, over deliver.
Absolutely. And know your worth as well. Like people come out of the jobs and think, I need to sell myself cheap to be able to pay my bills. That's the worst thing. No, that's the first thing they're thinking about. And the worst thing can happen to them is not paying the bill. So they sell stuff cheap. And then because they're so good at what they do, they get so many more clients. And then they're sucked into that of, shit, now I can't get out of it. I'm sucked in. I'm losing love of my business. Stress kicks off. Chaos kicks off. And all they need to do is then, really just work out, right, what is my worth? And how do I upskill myself to get my worth?
Yep.
And it's the same thing with, create a package, add customer cuddles in that package. It increases the value of that package and deliver it phenomenally. And people will pay your price as long as they understand what you deliver.
Completely understand. I think this podcast has been phenomenal, Paul. I'm so excited to get it out.
I know, I can't wait. I've just realised it's 2:00. I'll chat all day, don't I? Sorry guys.
No, it's been phenomenal. I said that to Mum. I was like, this episode's going to be every episode's been phenomenal, to be honest. All the guests that we've had on, I've had every individual that's impacted myself, my journey. Just everyone that I've had on, so from the very beginning. Dwayne Holmes, for example. Dwayne was one of the first people that I met through the gaming world that, as a professional athlete, he was the most authentic, just normal guy, man. Just amazing from start to finish all the way up until now. I mean, the guests are going to keep coming thick and fast. We're wanting to do them every 2 weeks, but I think after December time, we're going to start moving it to maybe once a week for the podcast to be rolling out. Because we've got that many guests lined up. If we were to do one every 2 weeks for, I think the time frame, we've got that many guests. I think we've got 18 guests on our list.
Wow.
That'll be 6 months. 6 months worth of content we'd have prepared if we'd done it every 2 weeks. When in reality, the guests are going to keep coming thick and fast.
And you're the only podcast that I really listen to on a regular basis, by the way. And I'll sit on a Friday night with my little blackcurrant water, cheers, and I'll listen to it. You must think I'm off my head because I'll send you texts going, wow, you do this, do that, it's phenomenal, love it, great idea.
Yeah.
So just thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And I hope I've not bored anybody, and I'm sorry about my passion. Just love life.
You definitely have. I actually can't wait to get the feedback. And if anyone's listening and got to this time, guys, be sure to drop me a message on either if you connected with me on LinkedIn, if you follow me on Twitter, I always look at my message request. If you follow on Instagram, anything along those lines, if you've got any contact details that directly reach to myself, message me, tell me what you think, tell me your favourite part, anything from this podcast that you feel like you can take away and implement. I'd love to hear about it. I'm sure Paula would as well. And we're always posting testimonials on our Instagram too. So we want to feature on our Instagram. Get it done as well. Leave a comment on the YouTube, whatever it may be, any way in which to get it out. But I think that kind of rounds it up. Thank you so much, Paula.
Anytime, thank you. And I'll just leave that with this. It's a no-brainer for people to join your community. So stop fanning about, stop bellying about and fanning about, and just sign on and get yourself growing. Anyway, John, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's been absolutely awesome. Thank you all for listening, guys. Have an amazing day.